order, and I will ask Kim to do the roll call.
Trustee Fluger,
Present.
trustee Hess,
Present.
trustee Hummel.
Here.
Trustee O'Connor.
Here.
Trustee Radke
Here.
and trustee Zerflu.
He is excused. All right, we will stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Number 4, motion to approve the consent agenda, A, meeting minutes of June 10th, 2026 board meeting, and B, monthly bills and previous month's journal entries.
So moved.
Moved by Hess,
I'll second.
second by O'Connor. Any discussion, anything need to be taken out
I don't know, my name's in here. Can I vote on it or should I excuse myself?
for what? Oh.
They took out my mailbox.
No, I think you'll be all
I think
right.
I'm okay.
Yeah. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, that one carries. Okay, we have some public comments tonight. So just as a reminder, you have 3 minutes. I'll keep time. I'll give you like a 30-second kind of warning that you're getting close. So we'll start with Leo.
My name's Leo Palestine. I'm president of the Port Edward School Board. I'm here, asking that the village board consider placing on your August agenda the resolution that we sent you earlier concerning voucher transparency on your property tax bill. We had a well-attended meeting in the school gym on the 28th of May. There were 54 citizens there from all over the area. It was a very comprehensive program. It is taped. It is on the village or on the school district's website for your perusal if you'd like to look at it. This is a cost neutral act. The Rapids School Board, the Port School Board, and 72 or 3 other school districts all over Wisconsin have passed resolutions of this sort. Basically, what this says is that you ask the county treasurer when they prepare the tax bills for the village or whatever your municipal body is this fall, that they put a tagline on the bottom of the bill indicating the cost to the taxpayer of school vouchers on their tax bill. It's transparent. As a taxpayer, you deserve to know where your money's going. And right now you don't. For example, in the village of Port Edwards, $441,000 goes out of our school district budget to vouchers. By law, we are required to add that back onto your tax bill to cover that expense. So we use the taxing authority for it. Not one person in 100 knows that. You need to know that as a taxpayer. We would be happy to meet with you. Would be happy to offer any advice or suggestions. All that you need to do is take the resolution that you have been sent and adopt it. So I will welcome questions.
2:15, good job. Yeah, yes, you can have a question.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Appreciate that. To what extent does the school district understand why there are so many vouchers from Port Edwards?
Actually, there are very few vouchers in Port Edwards.
You just mentioned $400,000.
That's peanuts.
How many vouchers are there from Port Edwards?
I don't have a numerical figure because the vouchers vary according to what age the student is at, where they're going, whether they are a special needs student or not. Green Bay was the first district to do this. Green Bay uses about 13 million a year to school vouchers. They have, I believe, 8 different municipalities making up part of their school district. Several of them have now the Green Bay School Board adopted this resolution. And now they are going through their municipal partners and getting the municipal governments to do this, so some of the Green Bay taxpayers will see this on their bills come. Oh, they saw it last year, and there'll be more of them seeing it this year. This is purely a transparency thing. You know, people see this as what's anti-voucher. It's not anti-voucher. If you like school vouchers, great. You should know what it's costing you to do it. If you don't like school vouchers, okay, great, then you can do something about it. But right now it's hidden. Every year since 2015, legislation has been introduced in Madison to make this a matter of state statute. It's not even gotten a hearing, let alone vote. That tells you something. So the school districts are going out on their own and doing this district by district, municipality by municipality. I think our taxpayers deserve to know what it's costing them. Pure and simple.
Yeah, I got a question. So when you break out, I'd be interested to see the breakout of the people here in Port Edwards, along with maybe state statistics to see like where are these, so what are these vouchers used for? Like what's the majority used for? Is it for special needs people? Is it because of autism in the area? What's the reason this is happening? And then it's still good to see transparency because you're right. It's not that I don't believe in school vouchers, especially if the needs aren't being taken care of at the level of school district that the person lives in. They have to go someplace, and I think it's fair for them to ask for money. If they're special needs or whatever, yeah. But you're right. It'd be good to be able to, for everybody to see what actually we
The
spend.
vouchers in Wisconsin started in Milwaukee in the early nineties. It was a response to ineffective schools in the Milwaukee area that were not serving kids' needs, and it's sort of taken off.
Mhm.
If you want to really take a look at something, take a look at school voucher, do a Google search on school vouchers in Arizona.
Yeah.
Or in Iowa. There are some states around the country where this has gotten so out of hand that the state's fiscal security is being jeopardized because there are so many of these private entities, parochial entities, non-public entities siphoning off money for all sorts of reasons. Wisconsin, by comparison, is in, at least so far, relatively good shape, but it's not sustainable. So,
Okay,
I'm with you.
thank you.
thank you. I hope to see that on your agenda for August. And I'll be happy to answer or meet with you regarding any questions you have.
Okay, sounds
Thank you.
good. Thank you. Dave.
Dave Almas, I just recently built on Nepco Lake. I'm here for a different reason, but I figure as long as I'm here, I might as well bring this up. I talked to Betsy and Ben about this already. I built the house this last year in Nepco Lake. And I'm very disappointed in the quality of the building inspector you've got hired. He came from my foundation inspection. I was probably 300 feet away. By the time I walked up to the house, he was getting back in his car. I was fortunate enough to ask 2 questions and away he went. My bringing inspection, he was there for 6 minutes. This is on camera. 6 minutes. Time he drives in the driveway to drive out. 6 minutes he was there for inspection. I talked to my contractor the day after. I said, "How would you have inspection?" "We passed." I'm like, "Oh, you see there's no joist, the joist hanger here are nailed down?" "Oh, I knew about that. I was gonna take care of it." The inspector didn't say anything, and he laughs. He goes, "And he didn't catch the joists weren't screwed down either." I'm like, "Really? And I'm paying $1,200 for this inspector?" By installation inspection, nothing on camera. If he came or not, I have no idea. They looked all fine to me. I'm pretty handy with construction, so I know a lot of things to look for. But a lot of people who are building in Port Edwards don't know these things, and they rely on their contractor or rely on the inspector to catch these. I feel bad to go to my contractor and say, "Hey, this isn't done, or could you finish this up?" It kind of put me in a bad position because I hired somebody, a third-party inspector, to do this through town, I feel. My final inspection, 11 minutes from the time he drove in to drive out. I feel I've been ripped off. I feel bad for people who are building this town village weren't getting the money that the quality they deserve. Like I say, I've already talked to Betsy about this. That's not one that's a meeting tonight, but I figure as long as I'm here, might as well bring it up just so the whole board knows it. If there's any feedback, I'd love it.
Any,
I have a comment. I think you're underselling the knowledge that you have. You have built many things, including a railroad car, among other things. So when you tell me something like that, it's not only believable, but it's double believable given your knowledge base. So thank you for bringing it up to us and something I think we'll look into.
Thank you.
No, I agree.
anybody else? No, okay, thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Did you want to speak on the other thing that you're here for?
No.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Here, listen.
Mr. Stewart, anything as of yet? I know you said you'd,
I'm fine, thank you.
okay, online,
I would like to.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. You have a minute and 15 seconds.
All
left.
We had a landscaper come out today. We're gonna put some retaining walls in and a stairway down to our dock. And I asked him about putting a stairway down to it. He said, I won't do it. He said, your bank is undercut so much that it's gonna fail within a short period of time. He had different ideas how to do it. But what a lot of people in the lake have done, that we're kind of trying to copy, and he said, no, it's because of the waves, the wake boats are doing damage and continue to do damage unless we can do something about it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, online, there's Michael Miller. Did you want to speak? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the public comment for you guys being here today. Yeah. President's report. Okay. There's a couple different things. One that I'm going to remind everybody about the July 20th NEPCO meeting at 5 o'clock. That's with Attorney Apps that he is coming. He's gonna do a presentation. He's gonna get some material to us so that we can get it to you ahead of time. Especially over that weekend before that Monday, so that you guys can really look at the information, see if you have any questions before Monday's meeting. I don't want you guys getting the information at the meeting, because I don't think that's fair, because then you can't look through it. Because I'm assuming it's gonna be a couple pages worth. It's not just gonna be a paragraph. So that way you guys have plenty of time to just kind of decipher through that. So just keep an eye on your email about that. The other thing is, I can't remember because I didn't write a note fast enough when I had it in my brain. So we'll go to what's on here, the discussion and possible motion on the process for budget requests. We've talked about this in FHR, with trying to get public input. And we have it here tonight. So Ben, do you want to kind of explain where?
So in your packet, there's 4 or 5 different pieces of information. This has been talked about probably for 3 to 4 months. In your packet is the first start of it, which is Chapter 3 Finance and Taxation Ordinance. Started as creating an ordinance and adding that to it. So you'll see the 4th page is 3.04 budget. Number 6, budget input for the following year is from January 1st to last Friday in August. Request must include how it affects the village budget for the next year and how it affects it in 10 years. At the September board meeting, the administrator will share all the requests with the board and with the board. So that is, if you wanted to add that ordinance, we would add that to section 3.04, number 6. And then the next piece that's in there is how are we going to display that? On our village website, Kim and I work, there's a spot that we call it contact form, when it's easy. When you go to the 3rd click in the website, it says contact information. We would add number 6 underneath that, basically letting people know if they want to do budget requests, what information is needed. And that way, when they basically submit this, it gets submitted right to the village email address. The last piece I had included is basically what Clover does. I asked Clover how they kind of do their budget requests. For their budget, and basically just a simple sheet. You can email it, drop it off in person, go on their Facebook, call their administrator, things like that. So, I guess, like I said, this has been at FHR for 4 or 5 meetings, and it decided it was gonna come to the president's report tonight for discussion and last motion.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ben on any of this, or we just open up for discussion? No, okay. Now discussion. Does anybody have anything they would like to add?
I guess I'm assuming this came out of FHR as a recommendation to insert 3.046.
Yeah, that's just one of the options that we
Okay.
can do. We don't have to, but it's just one of those options, because in FHR it was, don't we put it in as an ordinance, essentially, so that. I'm just trying to get it so that it's taken care of,
Yeah,
and that way
that's
the whole
fine.
board can kind of discuss it, and we can go from there.
Okay, so it did not come through the committee and voted on it and,
It wasn't voted on in the committee, it was discussed at
okay,
the
so
committee.
we're doing it as a village board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. So to me, it was evident that it was going to be part of the ordinance because that's what was put together first. The language for that, and then apparently at an FHR meeting, some members at that meeting said, well, no, we don't really need it in the ordinance. We just put it in the website. So I asked at the meeting, why is it not part of the ordinance? I don't get that. And, our ordinances are supposed to be statement of purpose, rules, processes, expectations, and conditions for the board and its citizens to abide by. This seems very clear that that's why we were doing this. And again, I would say that the assumption was it was going to be in there because that's what the language was put together first. And the only other option to not do it was brought up at a meeting. And I don't see what the resistance is to putting it in the ordinance. And so I'm strongly voting for putting it in the ordinance. I think it's from optics for residents, I think that is important. And it meets all the criteria for being in the ordinance, in my opinion.
I was part of the discussion, at that meeting. Essentially, we're just defining the process. Is really what it is. So I thought it to be wholly unnecessary to be an actual ordinance. Simply because by being an ordinance, it takes out some of the flexibility as far as like asking follow-up questions or taking things outside of the time frame that's submitted. Realistically, I'm good either way. I just don't see the necessity of having it codified in ordinance because not all of us are gonna be here 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and someone's gonna want to do something different. And changing ordinances is a pain in the butt. Changing processes and guidelines is a lot easier. That's my only thought on it. I thought it was unnecessary simply because all we need to do is make it transparent enough, distribute it to the taxpayers and say, this is our new process for receiving budget feedback. And it's gonna happen the same way, whether it's in ordinance or not.
So I have a question, Ben, maybe you can help me. I just looked over this Clover. How you can submit it in Village of Clover, which is not, it's a village larger than ours, of course. But do they have an ordinance or is this just, do you know if they actually have an ordinance in place in the Village of Clover or do they just use this format?
This, I'd be lying to tell you if they have an ordinance or not. This is just the format that I was received from them. I could, been looking if there was an ordinance or just a format.
Okay, thank you.
Rob,
Would it be possible to draft, shall we say, a vanilla ordinance that says that there will be a process for that thing, not defining, and that the whoever the village president or however it is votes upon that process, or if it wants to change at any point, that they can at any point, but that there will be a way for citizens to, because then it's a blanket ordinance and it's not getting into specifics, so you don't have to change if you want to change a website or you want to change how many days. That's just up to the current board, but there always will be a process. So, I mean,
It's doable. Again, I'm gonna argue the necessity and I don't know, unnecessity is a word. The non-necessity of doing it. Essentially, whether it's ordinance or not, we're taking suggestions, we're taking proposals, we're taking, things that are coming from the general public and we're using them to formulate the next year's budget. Whether it's here or not, it's just, you can change processes easier if they're not here. So if we find something that doesn't work, rather than go back to the starting line and recodify the ordinance, we can just say, hey, this didn't work this year. Let's change this in our standard SOP, and you can create a guidance that you're referencing in the ordinance. So you can have both. You can have it in the ordinance that says a formal process will be utilized for submitting budget requests to the board. That will be this. There's nothing wrong with that. I think asking for a specific subset and having a specific timeline
Right.
just kind of takes,
I would agree with that.
some of the ability away for us to do our jobs.
The only question I've got is if it's an SOP, how do you change the SOP? Because you can change an ordinance. It just goes through the whole village board to do it. We're
Yep.
doing that as
Yep.
we're going through them. If you have an SOP and it's not an ordinance, does just a committee change it or does it go through the whole board? That's my question, because either way you can do it.
Yeah.
If it's easier to change an SOP, is it too easy?
There's a difference between SOPs and SOGs. And again, I'm just, setting a process and a set of guidelines. And SOP
And
would be
yes,
like-
feedback, I think.
If it's not codified, it could be ignored. Okay, I'm gonna take your argument and say in detail, it explains how, the village administrator is supposed to go to each of the department heads. In detail, it says that. So if you want to have a very, just, more vanilla thing, I'm all for that. Without codifying it, we could ignore it. It could be just ignored because it's on the website. And by the way, how many subscribers do we have currently on our website?
35.
35 out of 12,000 plus people. I mean, come on.
There's only 1,200
There's
people.
1,800 or whatever.
Okay, 1,800. Wow, that's 35 out of 1,800. Look, this costs us nothing to do. Okay, the optics of not doing it is another case of people saying, you guys really don't take that as serious as you do, other budget requests. And I find that just another example of us saying in one sentence, we want input, but we don't take it as serious as we do, other input, from the village. And I, have a very strong opinion about creating more opportunities for citizens to have input into what we do.
I think we could get value input either way, personally. So I think so. The question, one follow-up question I have, and I'm not in favor either way right now, but if we codify it and we can still change the ordinance, but do we have enough description of what we're asking for to make sure that we're getting all the information we need? What is the follow-up once we get input? There's at least two or three pieces to this: getting input, evaluating that input, and then taking action on that input.
Mhm.
So are we getting enough information to be able to take action with what's in here?
By letter of law, if we don't have it in the ordinance and we ask for additional input, they don't have to provide it to us. It's not required by ordinance.
Well,
But then it's hard to
we
take
we
action.
asked our,
Problem.
One person speaks at a time,
Sorry.
because we're starting to walk all over each other and I get that there's strong opinions.
yeah,
Okay, can I say my opinion?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, my opinion is it should be an SOP, not in the ordinance, because there are a lot of things that our village crew does, village employees, not just the crew, sorry, do that's not in the ordinance. It doesn't make it less valid. It does not make it that it's not going to be done. Ben gets calls on a daily basis on, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? There's not it's not in our ordinance. It doesn't, if it's not in the ordinance, it does not mean that we don't value somebody coming and saying that. We're giving an option, we're giving another platform, we're asking for additional feedback. We're doing more than we have done in the past. We're doing more than a lot of other municipalities are even doing. So I think it should just be a standard operating procedure or SOG, whichever one it falls under. That way it is a little bit more flexible. Because if it's not working, then it shouldn't be in the ordinance. I think it should be just a standard operating procedure that way. That's my opinion, before we start bantering some more. Go.
I
Rob.
would say even if I wouldn't be ready to vote, I'd like to hear a bunch more and have it come through an initial vote to exactly what we want to put in something like this. Is this what this discussion is, or is it whether we pass
It's,
what's already existed, is what's, I saw what it is.
so it's just, if we want to put it in an ordinance, so like right now, the procedure is, it's on the website. Anybody can go to the website, put their stuff in there, and follow well, you see the thing.
Mhm.
And then it goes to an email, and then at the end of that process of those days, like, right, Ben and the crew, they kind of compile them, and then they bring them to us for budget discussion before the actual budget process. So that way we don't have another incident like we did last year, people coming in November and we're going, it's a little late to the game. Right? So that way it gives us time to go through them, see what can be done and see what the benefits are. That's part of that thing, is what are the benefits? Because that person's got to put that in there as well. And then Ben has got to bring that to us, essentially at budget time, right? Did I describe that?
Yeah,
right?
basically right now, the last Friday of August, so there was 20 requests and some are for the parks, some are for the roads. We would bring that to the full board with a complete list. But then that would go to each department head to discuss if it's police, public works, whatever the request is, that needs to go through the department head and the chairman of the committee, because that is the chairman of the committees are the ones that look at the budget, plus everybody will have a copy of it. Right now, if we get a budget request, it's sent in to FHR myself, and I share with the FHR chairman and the president, and that's where it goes. And it's up to the chairman to put it on their agenda and move forward, or what they would like to do with it.
The one question, if we don't put it in as an ordinance, where would it be and how would it be documented that we know it's an actual procedure? Do we have SOPs or SOGs somewhere else that we can refer to, that this is their documented procedure?
We have a book that has way back whenever on SOP and SOGs, we could record it in there. I think it'd have to be a discussion here of how we're gonna move forward with it. That's where this discussion is. When they do come in, right now we have it set as bringing it to the full board in September. I think that needs to be a discussion. If that's how you want them, if you want to keep them to go right to the chairman, if we don't create an ordinance. If we don't create an ordinance, when a suggestion comes in, I'm gonna send it right to the FHR chairman and the village president, unless we have something in place.
Well, I guess I'm referring to the process of taking input.
Yeah.
So if we don't put it in as an ordinance, are we gonna document this process somewhere else?
We can put in the SOGs. We have a binder in the office.
A binder in the office? Who has access to that?
Anybody that comes into the office and asks.
Yeah,
I think we need to document the process if we're gonna take it important. I think we need to document it somewhere.
Which I think we've gone through that in FHR, kind of what the process was gonna be.
So we can at least reference it if somebody asks, do you have a process? Yes, we do. Here it is. And then I guess between SOG or SOP and ordinance, it's really accessibility in my mind. And where are we gonna be able to look at it? Because an ordinance you can actually change too.
Yeah, back to kind of what I was saying in the beginning, to meet in the middle, could we make a blanket statement in the ordinance that we are gonna reference a document called the SOG? And the only reason we would do that is because it's easier to change an SOG than it is an ordinance, right?
Mhm.
So then we cover both bases. It's in the ordinance saying we are gonna abide by the things in this SOG. And then this SOG is available at clerk's office. And then everybody has access to it, and then they also have access to the way that you do it on the website. But would be something that I would suggest, something like that.
That satisfies what I'm thinking we need.
Nick,
I have no issue with it. I just think it's an unnecessary step. Because you're referencing an SOP that would already exist anyway. And I'm gonna take, anything that's submitted budget wise and goes through Ben or appropriate committee, I'm gonna take it seriously whether we have an ordinance or not. I don't think my end game of this is gonna change either way. I'm just wondering about the necessity of an ordinance as opposed to an SOP or SOG. So again, I mean, we can meet in the middle and say we have an ordinance that references an SOP. But then is the is the ordinance actually required? Is it necessary? I mean, it's not difficult to pass ordinances. We have a potential resolution right now.
Well, I think that we could put language in there that would say that, that we're required to keep up on it. To look at the SOG every so often, or however we want to do it, just to make sure that we're maintaining something realistically usable for people that's not a broken system. So if somebody finds for whatever reason, some technology we don't see coming forward comes and we need to change the way we do it, that it's actually, there's a mechanism to say, hey, you guys need to go in there and change that. And maybe the ordinance would be that.
The only input I'd have is that anybody's gonna look at how we do our budget, they're gonna go to the ordinance and look up budget and then follow it. So it would be here, okay, we do have a process, it's located elsewhere. Because if it's in an SOP, how are they gonna know that they have access to it other than somebody looking at this ordinance and go, okay, how do we do our budget? There is a process.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything?
I mean, right now, where this came about is, you know, if people submit stuff through the whole year and it goes to the committee and it doesn't get acted on, when it comes budget time, you'll have all these suggestions in front of you. And at that time, when we start going, the chairman and start going through the budget, they'll be look at these suggestions instead of, if somebody gets we get a suggestion in, say, April, and it's not budget time, the whole point is make sure these get brought up again, budget time starting in September, and they don't get left behind at a chairman's email and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric, I think that's where this kind of started, is we were trying to compile to make sure.
Yeah.
We all got handed out come budget time.
And frankly, compress it so that, committees weren't doing point solutions during the year without being able to look at the entire budget and understand the ramifications of each decision that's made, not just in the moment, well, this decision was made in January, this one in February, and then you get to the end of the year, and go, oh my gosh. We just committed ourselves to a bunch of stuff and really didn't look at the whole system.
Okay.
And I'm okay back rewriting it, but I would like clarification from you guys, but I think it needs to be at a certain time, all the information needs to come to the proper committees and that. I mean, we can have them all year round, but at one point, all of them need to come in some kind of spreadsheet and get handed out before the budget, so you can look at everything that's been presented throughout the year.
So why don't we put on paper what that process is? We can bring this back up next month.
I mean, we're all here. I mean, the process as written, I mean, does anybody have any, I mean, do you guys need to give me suggestions? I mean, what you have for 3.04-6? I mean, is there other things you'd like added to that or change? I mean, this is.
Yeah, I feel like when you read that, that would be great in an SOP. Inside our committee, we come up with the language to add to the ordinance or. Not ours.
The PLP.
However we want to do it. I mean, we bring it up and we decide how we're gonna make the language so that every little change doesn't require this to come back to the main board. You know.
I mean, we could,
Or through both committee and then the board.
Can we do what we have here? Budget input for the following year.
I think we can keep the first sentence in there and then
Yes.
amend what's been submitted.
I agree with that, if I may speak.
Okay.
Budget input for the following years from January 1st to the last Friday in August, following SOP guidelines, blah, blah, blah. And then that last 3 lines are in the SOP or whatever we want to put in there.
I'm just trying to think how you're.
I'm just gonna
We have
comment
input.
in support is, what we're talking about is in the ordinance saying what, and the how becomes the SOP.
Yes.
Right.
And that makes a ton of sense to me, because you don't want to have another page and a half of an ordinance with details that you might want to change.
Right.
But but the what,
Mhm.
we gotta codify it, because I just think people wanna see that we're serious about it.
Lon, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, we're spending a lot of time on this. I think we're overthinking it. Anybody that wants to send any type of suggestion, email, written, come here, one of the meetings, come to a committee meeting. I take them all serious. I think Nick said that also, you guys want to throw ordinances together and everything else. I think we put this on the website. When the things come in, we keep track of them. Ben's been doing this. He's been pushing things to each committee. We need to discuss them and put them on our agendas if that's what has to be done. But to make ordinances and this and that, we have a website, we have the information. The public needs to put their input in, and some people have come in and they've had suggestions. And I welcome that. I think the more community, more people that come in and we do it through the committees and we have the good discussion and we make decisions on it, if we can afford it or not afford it, or what it's gonna look like in the years. But here we're spending a lot of time talking about ordinances and SOPs. We've got the information, put it on the website. Let's work with it. That's my suggestion.
Okay,
I have nothing else.
I think Lon's right. We've talked this piece to death, not just here, but in other meetings too. So is somebody going to make a motion? What's the motion gonna be? Or is nobody gonna make a motion? Like, which one are we doing?
Go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion to eliminate request must include how it affects all village residents, how it affects the village budget for the next year. Now it affects the village budget in 10 years and leave the rest of it in there.
So put the budget in just that
First
first
sentence,
line.
last sentence. Budget
First-
input for the following years from January 1st to last Friday in August.
Oh,
At September board meeting, the administrator will share all the.
that way
requests
there's a
with the board.
when.
That way we have, and I won't discuss until we get a second.
Okay, sorry. Yep. Fluger, that's the motion as of right now.
I second.
Reason being is that this is a brand new concept and I don't want to put it into concrete until we know that the concept is gonna work. That's the whole thing about it, is if we ask for only these specific things and we realize there are other questions we should be asking, we're kind of tied down to this by ordinance.
Right.
That's why flexibility, SOPs and SOGs are far easier to amend when you realize it's not working than ordinances are.
At what level does the SOP and SOGs get changed? Something to
I mean,
we don't need to dig into it, but
no, how it's worked before is essentially you make, when you create the process, you keep that going until it doesn't work.
you
And
bring
then
it up at board meeting.
I would assume this one, because it's financially based, would probably come through FHR.
Right.
If any SOPs are to be generated, it's like, the Lexipol and the protocols that go for the police department go through public safety and, things that directly affect road construction go through public works.
Mhm.
This one seems to be that the SOP should be generated and approved through FHR.
That's the ordinance.
I'm okay with that motion personally, if at some point in time we can add, if we have an SOG, that we just reference it in the ordinance.
I
If
don't
we
know
do,
legalities, that one's one for attorney, if we can just
Yeah.
add a reference into it.
you can amend you can add, you can change any ordinance by a vote through PLP and then through the board.
Correct. I didn't know if we could just add a reference on there without having to go through the codifying.
You gotta go
process.
through the codifying process. to
Okay.
change an ordinance.
So there's a motion, there is a second. Does anybody have anything else
No.
groundbreaking? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Nay.
motion carries. Okay. Thank you for that. Oh, the other thing I was going to say was, I've been getting more questions about the data center because of all the stuff that's happening or not happening in Rapids. I don't know if you guys have or not. I have sent an email to Attorney Apps about like, hey, what are our options? I'm not saying pro, con, whatever, but if it would come this way, I kind of want to have information to us available in case that gets to us. Do you know what I mean? Like, we haven't had it asked of us, that nobody's saying that they're putting one here, but I want to have what kind of relevant information we might need to have knowledge of in case it does get here. So that's all.
Legal knowledge is.
Yeah, just legal wise. That's all. Just because I would much rather us have it and have a little bit of knowledge of it, at least what the next processes would be if it would even be mentioned here. So again, nothing has been formally just for you guys. Commission committee reports, airport commission, that's in the packet. Nepco Lake Districts.
So real quickly, that's pretty interesting. That's cool that you put the whole thing in there from a meeting.
That's Ben's thing.
We are at a point in our process where, as I said, the mechanical harvesting thing is going on. That's a problem, just that's a solution to this every year problem of overabundance of plants in the lake due to high levels of nutrients. The longer term one is understanding where that nutrients are coming from, and we've got a process going in place with locations, water quality testing, every one of our inputs into the lake. I think next month, in August, we have our annual meeting. At the annual meeting, we have to have a budget in place for next year that the property owners vote on. I think what we're looking at right now is how do we look at a short-term budget? We've got a process in place to look at a longer-term budget, or a process which includes how do you replace two very, very old, expensive pieces of capital equipment, which are the harvesters. So we have option A, B, and C lined up with that. It won't affect next year's budget, but it's coming. The range, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about costs, a new harvester similar to the ones we have right now are in the $375,000 to $400,000 range. That's a little bit too big a pill to swallow to put that on the property owners without some kind of grants. So we're looking at grants. Those are the main things that we're working on. We will have a budget that probably has a quote cost of living increase this year, just for the simple fact we haven't raised the fees in the 4 years of our existence, and in order just to keep active this year. And the reason why we aren't going to do much more than that, unless people want to vote on adding a significant amount of additional fees for capital expenses going forward, is that if we get grants for those, it's 2 years out before we actually get the machine. So the bigger issue is coming next year, not this year. And if people think it's important to add something, they're certainly welcome to bring that up, and we can vote on, do you want to do more than what we're going to do? So those are the big things we're struggling with. And we have a meeting after the meeting of the whole. We'll go over our budget and so forth, and welcome any input that all of you might have after you're reading that, and any questions you have about the Lake District and what we're trying to do. Please let me know. We did put in a request to the Wood County for a grant for economic development. And we'll see if that helps a little bit as well. So those are the key things.
Thank you. Police and Fire Commission. Stuart.
What do you mean? We haven't met for 3 months. However, about a week and a half ago, we got a fire applicant, and the liaison subcommittee of the PFC has interviewed that applicant along with fire personnel, as well as the police chief has completed a background check. Fire chief is going to complete a social media personal reference background. And we're going to meet on Monday and discuss all those things. That's about it. We're all caught up on everything else.
Perfect. Thank you. Plan Commission did not meet, so we'll go to Public Works Committee.
We met July 1st. Ben informed us that summer is going well. They're getting ready for in July, chip sealing, crack filling, some sidewalk replacement, some catch basin rebuilding, and alleyway paving. Also, they're hopefully kind of getting close to finishing up our Second Street project and some of the work right behind the municipal building here with the alleyway. I believe all the summer help is doing well. I stopped down at the garage and I see we still have 3 summer help, which seems to be helping out quite a bit with the parks and the grass growing. And things like that, that need to be picked up. Other than that, we also did discuss, we had received a letter, request from an HOA. I don't know if the letter is, I know that Ben sent it out to everyone. And we had it attached with our minutes. But they're requesting, for a private road that would be, maintained by the village if they would bring it up to specs. And we went out, myself and Ben went out to the private road. There's some issues. Their cul-de-sacs are not within standards of the village. There's not much of the roadway that is actually into the village. It's kind of one side of the road is the village and the other side is Saratoga. I did reach out to Saratoga, to their committees. They said that they were gonna talk about this on July 15th. Their members were saying that, it's still in discussion, but if there would be anything, they would have to come up to their standards of their ordinances and their roads, and if there was utilities or anything that were under the road, they would make them dig them up and move them off to the side of the road to their likings. So that is coming up on the 15th of July. So if any of us want to go to their meeting, they actually welcomed us to be there if we would like to go there. I instructed Ben to look at, we do get some state aid through the state for road, and it's such a small portion. Ben's still looking into it. I don't think it's gonna be, it's not gonna be a windfall, okay? But it might be something. So, we are looking into that so we can get back to, these people. I guess I would like to hear from any committee members. If you'd want to email, call me, or get a hold of me, or stop by. I don't care, and what their opinions are on this, because I would like to bring it up again to give them a final resolution of what the village wants to do. Or maybe at some point in time, hopefully within the next month, we can decide. I don't know if Saratoga what their recommendation will be, but we could come back and then actually give them a letter or send them a letter saying this is where our village stands. Doing some research into it, I just don't see that it's gonna be feasible for the village to undertake that, any private roads in the village. Not just their private road, private roads here on this side or that side or anywhere in the village. That's the way I stand. So if you have any comments or any input, I would like to hear. So we can come back and give them an answer, either yes or no. So that's all I have. Anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I do have one question. So that was a request from a citizen, right? So wouldn't that follow the process and we wouldn't deal with that until we review our budget for next year?
We could.
Well, I mean, you could, but because we've got other requests that we haven't done anything with, which I'm not arguing we should. I'm just saying, if we're gonna follow the process, let's follow the process, and that seems to me to be one that we really wouldn't address in the budget.
The process is just starting, Bill. So when we got this email, this wasn't done. So that was done prior to us making this motion that we're taking on that process.
Okay.
But we're gonna be talking on July 20th meeting, roads as a topic. So I think that's gonna fall in underneath that discussion, what Nick brings anyway.
Okay,
So-
and just to answer your question, trustee Hummel, we've talked about this, we talked about it last year. The thing is to discuss these matters and have good discussion. and see if it's feasible. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I reached out to Saratoga, and I'm asking input from our trustees here. I don't feel that it's feasible, but if you guys think that it's feasible, or if somebody else thinks that it's, we have another route that we can look at, that we have some money somewhere or something to do that project, please contact me. Thank you.
Okay, when is your next meeting?
Ben, when are we meeting again?
Wednesday, August 5th.
At what time?
We have it for 4:30.
4:30.
Just try to write them down so I don't forget. Thank you. Let's go to parks.
So, the Parks Committee met on June 24th at, the, park. We're sorry you couldn't make it, Trustee O'Connor, because it was a really fun experience. The warning for a storm was blaring as we were looking at things, and the clouds were very dark. But we did get a really good look at all the equipment. Fortunately, none of us decided to try out any of the equipment because it was pretty wet. But I'm very impressed with the equipment, and Ben's reporting of how much it's being used. As a matter of fact, when I pulled up, even though that storm warning was in effect, there were 2 or 3 kids running back to the car. So, you know, even in the moment, they were using it. So, I think that was the big piece. We talked about, a potential additional request from the Legacy Foundation to support some work, and I'll ask, Ben to share that a little bit. But again, the Ripple Creek Park thing, I think, has been really a nice, welcoming addition, and not only from a, use perspective, but also from a safety perspective. So, Ben, do you want to say anything about other options that you're recommending?
No, I just want to thank, and the Legacy's been above and beyond spectacular to the village with the bike trail and the playground equipment. And we've got a handwritten agreement that we're going to be getting another $250,000 for the rest of the bike trail from Ripple Creek to the fire station to get re-blacktopped. 7th Street to the dog park, to the school forest, to the frisbee golf, to the softball, to the baseball fields. That'll be part of that grant, and then also new blacktop around the playground equipment. So thanks to Legacy and everything they've done to get Ripple Creek, the bike trail, everything they've done for the village, it definitely helped us out. Be able to do these projects without having to go to taxpayers and use their funds. So we'll definitely hopefully get this all completed next year and try to do some kind of a ribbon cutting with the Legacy down there to show them everything that we've done in the past 2.5 years at Ripple Creek.
And I also want to personally thank Ben for this whole process of contacting the contractors, keeping equipment, making sure it's been done or whatever. That's a organizational process that needed leadership, and thank you, Ben, for doing that. Our next meeting is July 22nd at 4 p.m.
Any questions for parks? No, all right. Public safety.
All right, I'll talk fast, way best. PFC, we did get an email from Chairman Stewart. Like I said, we're moving one more forward, that if approved, will take us up to 27 on the fire department. Just in the not so distant past, we were at 9. So, exceptionally commendable. They did do a drill with ERCO and the hospital. I believe it was decontamination based, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Street dance is done on the weather theme. It was also cut short by weather. Seems to be a common theme this summer. But overall, well attended. Final figures haven't came in for what the association took in. But, you know, fingers crossed. The hose car was donated to the fire department, has been refurbished, and is now out front on display. I encourage everyone to take a look at it. It's a cool piece of history. And again, like I mentioned, total numbers in the fire department is 26 right now, with the 27th in the hopper. And yeah, when Chief Lease took over, you know, a year and change ago, it was at 9. So we've rebuilt commendably, doing great things in the department. I appreciate it. Police Department, Chief Abbott gave his report. Ben can correct me if I'm wrong on any of these here, but a lot of ordinance violations, both in DMI and in the community. A lot of mowing things, a lot of parking things where things don't need to be parked, things to that nature. Car break-ins are up. That's one of the trends that has been seen in the village right now, so encourage you to keep your stuff locked. You'll be doing that anyway. And they've been issuing a semi-decent amount of overweight restrictions on Fort and Seneca roads. That seems to be the preferred shortcut for people on the detour route right now, so all the police department are looking at that. And the ordinance violations will be continuing to DMI. I believe those are being written every Monday. A handful of them have already been sent through the justice system and have been adjudicated, if I remember correctly. All of this with the intent of just getting some traction from DMI, and Trustee Hess will probably go into greater detail on that in the PLP report. And our next meeting date will be also July 22nd, right after PRC at 4:30 PM.
Perfect. Any questions for public safety? All right.
Okay, moving on, Planning, Property and Legislative Committee met on July 1st, at 5:30. The only real highlight, DMI, we are issuing citations, like Trustee Fluger mentioned. Legal counsel is reviewing those to make sure that we've got the right things in place, so we can try to get traction to see if DMI is gonna take any action on those. Those are continuing to pile up. The discussion and the possible motion is we passed through committee a wake boat ordinance. It is included in your packet.
Let's get a motion in a second first. That way we can
Yes.
discuss it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance, wake boat ordinance 2026 and the number to be put on it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by O'Connor. Now discuss.
Okay, the ordinance is included in your packet. This has been it's been in committee for a long time. We've had, discussions on both sides of the, issue. We've also had a town hall meeting. We've got a roadmap included in here if it passes the board, where it goes from there. And we've got a letter from Chief Abbott in here about enforcement. The only comment I will make is at the town hall meeting, both at the village board meeting or committee meeting and at the town hall meeting, Domtar was present and in favor of this ordinance from a water quality standpoint, coming to the mill in Nakusa. So is there any discussion?
Lon, go ahead.
I guess I just have, one note. I see Chief Abbott says that, he has contacted 3 agencies. One, I guess, being the big agency, Wood County Sheriff's Department, who has a boat that actually does boat patrol and 2 jet skis. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then also Grand Rapids and town of Saratoga. I don't believe that they have anything. But I guess I find it interesting that all 3 agencies have declined to participate in the enforcement of the wakeboard ordinance, according to
Correct.
Chief Abbott.
Correct. I mean, Rob and I were saying,
I think it's the same,
They
same
can't-
topic.
They can't, enforce any local village
Yeah, right,
ordinances, so
right.
they're not gonna get involved on that.
correct, so.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So from my perspective, again, as a county employee, I did attempt to reach out and find out how prevalent equipment sharing is between law enforcement agencies, if it's something that they won't enforce on our behalf, is it something that we could possibly borrow some of their equipment if enforcement is necessary? So just no promises. I'm reaching out to find out if that's even a possibility, because enforcing a waterborne ordinance from shore could potentially be incredibly problematic. So I'm reaching out to find out, like, they can't legally enforce municipal ordinance on our behalf. However, could you help us enforce municipal ordinance on our behalf by allowing us use of your equipment? It's just a conversation I'm having.
And when we had that, town hall meeting at the high school, the presenter, I can't remember his name right now, did say that it's generally once these ordinances are in place, there's not a whole lot of pushback. that it tends to kind of take care of itself. So hopefully that continues to be the path with that. Trustee O'Connor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Oh,
just
okay.
add on to that. He had said, Wall Packets had this for a couple of years and they've written 0 tickets. It's more of the rule, come on, abide by the rule type thing.
So the only other input is the roadmap. I will state that if we pass this ordinance, another municipality, either Grand Rapids or Saratoga, has to pass the same one. And then there's a roadmap, and Ben, if you could quickly just go through the roadmap. So this is just a first step in this whole process.
So if this passes tonight, tomorrow morning, I'll work with our village clerk to make sure she sends a copy over of this ordinance and our board minutes from tonight's meeting stating what you guys decided, over to Saratoga and to Grand Rapids, their clerk, to submit, to their village. Puts their agendas together. We can also include conditional reports and our things that we have on behalf, and I'll be open to any information that they want from us. They can get a hold of myself and we can share anything we want. And also we'll probably put Trustee Hess's name on it since he was the chairman of this committee. He has some information too. But if it does pass this tonight, we would send this on to the other areas. And after one of them would pass it, the next step would be to send a conditional report, which I do have, with that ordinance down to the DNR. We send one, so does one of the other communities or both. At that point, it's in review. During that process, then we need to schedule a public hearing, a 30-day notice. We can have one meeting between all 3 or 2 or whoever decides to jump on this. So we have a public hearing. After the public hearing is done and we receive the draft back from the DNR, at that point, we post this for 30 days. And at that point, this goes in effect. I know at the committee meeting, legal asked if we pass this tonight, how long does this stay active? Once we pass this tonight, legal gave me the recommendation that it stays active forever. Even so, if there's other communities that don't pass it right away, if it's a month, it's 2 months, 6 months, whatever, this does stay in effect from the village. We do not need to come back and review this ordinance again. So that is where it's at. Any questions, please let me know.
One other comment, our legal counsel has reviewed this ordinance, so it is run by Attorney Apps, so.
Trustee O'Connor.
Yeah, I would like to say as a person who likes to wakeboard, I received enough data on this that I think it's completely reasonable to pass this. I think it's not good for that lake and the shoreline, along with the plants and the fish in that water. So I think it's completely reasonable to pass it. Whether or not the other municipalities want to, that's on them and that's for other people to petition. But I think it's the right thing for us to pass it. So.
Anybody else?
Just have a request. Before you send this out, would you be willing to allow the Nicoll Lake District to get their ducks in order to go to meetings and support this and offer a talking points and so forth with that? Would you, and that you all would?
What do you mean? Like, so not send it to the other municipalities right away?
Yeah, just give us a couple weeks. I mean, if you ask to have a meeting and I don't have people prepared to go, and that doesn't look like a real strong position to be in. I'm just asking for a short period so to allow us to be part of that, or you don't want us to be part of that process. That's fine too.
I think we need to send it right away. That way that municipality gets it on their docket, and if they want to do something about it, and then you guys can either show up, you can email, you can call, you still have all of those other options to do that. And I'm sure, just like it took us how many months to do this, they're not gonna have one meeting and be done. It's just my opinion. But I think if we get it into those other municipalities' hands as fast as possible.
So I guess the second question, does the board have an issue with the Lemco Lake District going to
The Nepco Lake District is their own entity,
Okay.
so they can.
Do whatever they
What they want, yeah.
I guess I will say, the earliest this would take effect is almost a year from now, so I don't know why the next 30 days is such a rush until we get the structure together, but, I certainly will abide by what you all decide.
Okay.
All right, we have to vote on that yet. Evers. Okay, anything else? Okay, hearing nothing else. All those in favor to approve the wake vote ordinance that is presented in the packet signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That one carries. Okay, anything else from Keeler?
No, next meeting is July 22nd at 5 PM.
And then FHR committee.
Sure, I was asked by, Chairperson Zerflu to, read the minutes. He's out of town, and whether he was on video or not, he thought he might be, but he didn't think that was a really good way to share doing the minutes. I think the main things, that, are in effect, we've already talked about the, ordinance kind of things with, citizens, offering requests. But I think the main one, we spent I had a really great discussion about, the, job description of, altering the job description and title of, a position that is now a part-time village president and, director of public works. And I think just for everybody's edification, I think that thank you, Madam Chairman, for putting the job description together. It reflects a role that we have that's important, and it isn't just Ben's description. I mean, you know what I mean? It really reflects a role that is important to the board, and Ben happens to be the absolute right person to do that in our opinion. So, I think there's a motion on the table.
We gotta make the motion yet.
Pardon me?
Someone's gotta make the motion yet.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the job description as seen in your packets. Do I hear?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Motion by Fluger.
O'Connor wants it. We can flip flop here.
Okay,
I'll make the motion. You
okay, Fluger,
Second.
it's okay.
You already have my name written down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I already have Fluger down, so that's it. Then now more discussion or questions, comments. Nobody? Oh,
But
No, I was just gonna say, the big thing that we went round and round about is direct supervision of the administrator / public works director. I think we came to a good consensus right now that ultimately Ben will be responsive to the board. However, direct day-to-day supervision really was kind of in a couple different locations, and we settled right now about direct supervision will be to the village president. That was the
the thing that
How
we
we
had to
came out.
change, yep,
so that clarification is in here.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
That's the only
first-
question
The
I
first sentence in supervision, I believe, in that last page.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Anything else? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one carries. That was the quickest one we had. All right. Anything else out of FHR?
No, ma'am. The next meeting is scheduled at, I don't see it listed.
It's August sixth.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like 6 at 4 o'clock.
Public Works is fifth, yeah, that'll be sixth.
okay. Okay. Thank you. So we are on to number 8, unfinished business. Any unfinished business from previous meetings?
Got one question, for these tickets that are being given to DMI. I'd be interested to hear what the attorney has to say as these start to go through the judicial process and they say, all right, you're guilty, or, you know, it's whatever it is. At what point do liens start to happen, or how does that all work where Because we don't want to be doing this every year and then spending a ton of money fighting these people. Is there a way that it just builds up and then when they go to sell it, you're like, is there a, every year you have to go to court with them? And I'd be interested to just find out how that system works.
So unfortunately, I'll make this, that's kind of be my report, but basically you have to, these businesses, when you're a business owner, you're not tied to one person's name, right? And these businesses are out of the state. So basically, when it comes to that, and good thing Kim is here because she can correct me, but basically we have to hire somebody, our attorney's got to hire somebody out of state to go handle papers if we're gonna file papers against DMI and these people. And that's, we'll get into that and working with legal, but that's when when the value of what we want to pay to keep pushing these citations is what's gonna come back to PLP, is how much do we want to spend out of village tax dollars to push these, to get them. But these fines that we get, they're not gonna hold it against the title and things like that, because it's not a person's name, it's through a corporation. But we dealt with that with the post office is the same thing, right? You can't, difference between a person that can actually put it on there, they can go get their tax return and things like that. It's a corporation. It's not that easy without getting lawyers. I mean, you're fighting against their business. So it's not, everything's possible, but it comes down to dollars and cents, and let's have Nick kind of give us a good, I'm gonna get through the one thing working with Nick now, and then I'll have him come back. But that's what happened last time. When Chief Radke was on the police department, he had the same thing. And our legal basically recommended that we get rid of them because the expense was gonna be to push these tickets was not worth it. But it's a new day. We'll bring the same topic up to our legal and see what he recommends. I'm not gonna say nothing about his recommendation, if that helps answer your question.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, under new business that we have to take off because we passed that, so we have to scratch number 9. Report from village administrator.
So I'll make things quick. July always seems to be a lot. First thing is, ordinances, right? We've been battling them, right? And anybody knows July gets to be crazy. Kim's here tonight. I can't thank her enough. We sent out about 45 letters, long grass, park cars, things like that, right? We're doing our best we can out there. What happens is after we send these letters, we only have 1 yard to cut. I mean, we're reminding people to cut their yard, and I know we shouldn't have to, but that's what it is. So we are doing the best we can to keep up with them. Our policy is I go get a list. Kim mails out the letters she sees and sees the police department in it, and there can see the follow through. Back with that, after 10 days, I go into the grass isn't cut. We send the village crew out, cut the grass, send a bill, put under taxes and a bunch of other things. But again, we normally don't have to get into that, but it is what it is. Kim's been here a little longer than I am, but about the same, if this goes on every year, I mean, July, the campers, people are doing this, the grass forgets about it, and we're doing the best we can to keep up. Like I always say, if there's an issue, there's a complaint, call me and I'll try to explain what our process is, what we're moving forward with that. And then also I'd just like to comment on one of the citizens. I did comment with the inspector. I did have a conversation with our inspector, just to make sure that he understands that we do have some issues. So me and him will keep following back through with that. Again, we've had them for 4 years. And it's good to have some comments like this come up and so I can refresh and work with him to make sure that we're staying on track. So I appreciate the comment, and I did have a conversation with him and Will to make sure we keep up. We've got 3 new homes getting built right now. So we will stay with him to make sure he's doing the right things. We did receive from the local improvement program, the state, we did receive $400,000 towards the 2nd Street Road project. So that was confirmed. We're still waiting for the CDBG, which should hopefully be here middle of July. And then we're also doing some clean and dirty water, low interest grants. So my hope in this whole project is a 2nd Street from Market to 2nd, that come September, I can present you guys the whole, what the cost is going to be, what we have for grants, what the options are going to be, so we can have some good conversations with that moving forward. We're also halfway through the year. It's hard to believe, but I'll be meeting with the department heads here in the next month just to make sure there's no big purchases, things that we need to be concerned about. Diane and I do meet on a pretty much daily basis. I always look in the budget, but we don't see any big concerns. But I just want to make sure that meet with the department heads so that if there's any big projects that we need to know about or things that need to be concerned, that we keep moving forward with that. But other than that, I guess appreciate the staff. I know it was mentioned tonight. Kim does a great job with the packets. I think Eric Humble said this was added there. I mean, the staff does a great job, top to bottom. We had a water main break the other day. Everybody chipped in, got that repaired in a quick hurry. So, I mean, kudos to the whole village crew for everything they do to keep the village going smoothly, especially in the summer. People are taking vacations and things keep on going. So, appreciate all their work. And if you have any questions, again, the door is always open. The phone, please call. Right? We try to tackle the situations before they get out of hand. That's all I have.
All right, from clerk treasurer.
I have nothing.
All right, trustee comments. Do we have anything? All talked out? All right, committee meeting calendar. So we have Parks, Recreation, Cemetery, July 22nd at 4. Public Works, Wednesday, August 5th at 4:30. Public Safety, July 22nd at 4:30. Sorry, I probably should have grouped those ones together. PLP, July 22nd at 5. FHR, August 6th at 4, and we have that Committee of the Whole, July 20th at 5. Correct? Got them? Okay.
And a comment on that, like Betsy said, Nick sent an email to Betsy and I today. He's hoping to have us a packet by that Friday, and we'll send that out. And that way you can review it and then come with your questions on that Monday.
One quick comment. I'm not gonna be able to make that meeting, either one of those meetings in person on the 22nd. I may be flying that afternoon, but I'll try to
Okay.
dial it on the phone or on a computer.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, yes.
Any highlights, any executive summary to present on the audits, or should we just read it on our own time?
So yeah, sorry. So I did get that yesterday from the auditor. Look that over. If you have any questions, reach out to me and we can put a questionnaire, have them come in if there's a bunch of questions, but look it over here in the next, couple month, whatever it takes. And if we have questions, let me know so I can put some questions together for him. And if we need to, we can bring Mr. Troutman in. I'll go over that. So.
But no major findings, no discrepancies?
No.
No irregularities, no alarm bells?
Nothing that's,
Perfect.
So
So I need to know.
All right.
Executive summary.
I like to
Turn my phone across. Without objection, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:16. Thank you. Chuck my phone across the table.
Softball field.
I attended.
Oh, yeah.
You're attending.
Already